Hey gang, let's talk about Palworld. Currently in early access. If you haven't heard of the game at this point, you've probably been living under a rock, and I'm sure there are thoughts that people have. Yes, I will start by saying it's a Poke-like, and it's a survival game like Ark and various others in the genre. It combines several different genres altogether into one game. Do some of the pals look very reminiscent of Pokemon? Absolutely. Is that questionable? There's arguments that could be made there. Have we seen other, monster catching games that have had some similarities with certain types of creatures? Of course, because there's only so many combinations you come up with that don't either look similar to or inspired by. That being said, the 3 years of development with things that I've seen, we've seen the sketches, and there's more inspiration than thievery going on here. And of course, I'm going to touch on the AI aspect. Yes, the CEO was a proponent of AI, but there is absolutely no conclusive evidence that AI was used in any element of the game. Now, I will say, since we're on the subject, AI art is not art when it takes, and just steals art from existing artwork to mash up a picture together. AI generation for things like level using existed created assets by the company is an entirely different conversation to have, especially when it comes to environments and things. But that was not the case in this game that we know of yet. It could be exposed later, we'll see. But that's neither here nor there, and I don't want to get deeper into the political mire of AI generation. The game itself, it's, survival, crafting, base building with monster catching, monster combat, and it doesn't shy away from the fact that you're you're catching these monsters and putting them into combat against other monsters. It is what it is. Yes, you can also have a chance to catch some of the various humans that are in the game and get them to fight with you or, work at your base. Is this a morally questionable thing? Perhaps. But in a world where you throw a ball and it catches giant monsters, it would be weird if it didn't catch other animals and people as well. It's one of the things that, Pokemon kind of skirts around, is that it just does, wholesome dogfighting and not people capturing. Although I'm sure Pokeballs could be programmed to capture people as well. But we'll never see that dark side of it, and we don't expect to ever. So, it's a tricky thing when you put the morals of the real world into a fictional game world where questionable things happen, and how you choose to play the game is up to you. Bad people do bad things, good people do good things, and sometimes the rest of us just try to do the best we can. The gameplay itself is fun. Unfortunately, I have to talk about these particular parts when I'm talking about this game because it's part of the conversation. As for the gameplay itself, the survival aspects are all there. If you enjoy survival games, you will enjoy Palworld. It's been compared to Ark and Conan Exiles and, insert survival game here. They're all fairly, similar in the way the gameplay loops work. You have to craft, you need to have clothes for the elements, you need to keep eating for food, you need to rest when you're tired, and the same thing goes with your pals. You need to keep them fed and maintained. I mean, Conan Exiles is the same way with thralls, and the means of capturing thralls are completely, like, if we're gonna be like that, just saying, there are games that are far worse. The pal catching is, of course, you damage them. Now, of course, you're not using pals to damage them. You can directly influence it yourself by, beating them with a baseball bat, which, I mean, how many times in Pokemon have we wanted to do that to particular Pokemon? I'm just saying. I'm looking at you, Wobbuffet. but it's part of that world. You capture your pals and you progress. You fight bosses. You know, there are the syndicate bad guys who story you need to discover. There's things to find in the world, dungeons with various monsters, pals you can rescue from the clutches of evil. There's, you know, trade and a whole money system where you can sell the pals and people you capture, which is probably the most questionable part of the game, but it is what it is. You know, I'm not going to make excuses for it. It is part of the game. That's how it is. If it bothers you, that is perfectly fine. It's valid. You may not be into that. In the end, gameplay-wise, I find it really enjoyable. I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops, and when it hits full launch status, I want to see a full 32-player system in play. But beyond that, it's a good game. Its early access success has been amazing, and we'll see where it goes from here. But, you know, have your thoughts. Put them in the comments, and I'll catch y'all later.